Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the session of demand sensing. This is quite an important topic at the moment, so that's what we would be starting off. So let's start with the demand sensing details. But before that, let me give you a brief intro about myself and Anamind, especially to people who are attending this session first time. I'm Sheetal. I take care of operations in Anamind. And when I talk about Anamind, we help companies improve the business planning or improve the planning process. For that, we have three different verticals over here. The first one is planning solution, then planning services, planning education, and that these are the main key areas where we help companies improve the planning process. I'll not get into the details of these different services. I'll quickly move to the main topic today, which is um, which is demand sensing. And we got to know a lot about from our different clients that demand sensing is becoming really important, and we have been engaged with a lot of companies in the past in the demand sensing area. So what exactly is demand sensing? Demand sensing is basically use of the real time information, the near term information, things which are happening on the ground to help the planner guide towards a proper demand forecast. These are the various information that are available to the planner, which can be used to determine the how our demand is going to shape up. It could be within the month. So if you're following a monthly process, it could be using of a daily data to guide towards the monthly demand forecast. Uh, However, there is a word of caution over here. This is, uh, a lot of companies do use daily or forecasting technique, but that's not what we call as demand sensing. That's just basically pure forecast. That's what it is. So I'd be using Vanguard system, which is one of the three solutions that we have over here. I'd be using Vanguard solution from Vanguard Software Corporation to demonstrate the various options within the demand sensing capability or area. When I talk about the demand sensing, different companies use different techniques for demand sensing. And the first option that I would take up is the firm order management or the firm sales order that the planner receives on a regular, the planner receives on a regular basis. So if we are following a particular planning process, we would want to use the firm orders that we have been receiving from our customers as a direct update to our forecast. So that can be one of the option for the planners to guide towards the demand forecast for the current month. So there could be many ways in which the firm orders can be used. It can be used as a direct update to our forecast, depends on the timeline. Say whenever the customers are updating the order, our forecast also gets updated. Or we can follow a comparative approach where we let the system or where we generate the initial demand forecast and use the firm orders as a comparative line, because it could happen that for the current month maybe we can use the firm orders, but say 2 months or 3 months down the line, firm orders might change. It could happen that we would get many orders in the future. So we would use that information as a guidance for generating the plan, for correcting the plan in case that's required. This is usually considered as demand sensing, because we are updating the forecast the moment we are getting the new firm orders from the customer. So then the demand forecast gets automatically updated. So that's why it's one of the reason that we can use firm orders for our demand sensing. So let me show you that option as well over here. So I'm going to take a particular SKU. This is SKU 800 in a particular location. It could be any location, so we do not have to worry about that. Say, for example, in this case, we have a particular SKU which is being sold in EMEA location. So this is the Vanguard system over here. And in this, what we have, I have logged in as an administrator, which you can see over here. So I have logged in as administrator, and in the demand plan section, when I go, I've selected a particular item and SKU. And when I select that, it automatically shows me the past historical sales. The blue color line is my past historical sales data. And the pink color line is or sorry, the black color line in the pink band is my forecast. So this is the future forecast, which is coming from the system. It does not, by default take into consideration my firm orders. So how should we use that information? So in this case, I've taken an example where I've brought in the firm orders. We can see our starting value, which is my statistical value coming from the system through the AI selection. It is 5988 for the month of June. However, we also have received firm orders at the beginning of the month, or maybe even between the month. As I said, it gets updated as and when the new firm orders come into place. So we have firm orders of 6,500 for the month of June, and we know this is the correct confirmed order. So we would want to incorporate that as an override in our final forecast. So my final forecast, instead of being 5,988, it is 6,500. But that firm order we have taken into account only for the current month, because for the month of July and August, they're still yet to come. And I can see that for the month of July, my expected sale is much higher than what my firm orders are. So when, say supposingly, I can build a rule where once my firm orders are higher than my starting value, then it automatically should become part of my final forecast, which gets further used in my supply planning or production planning, plans. But we can either use an approach of wait and watch, or we can use them as an override, because that's guiding the planner that there is a higher firm order and I want to incorporate it in my final forecast. The planner can then get an alert either in the form of workflows over here, so that he can monitor what are the various changes that had happened in the forecast. I can also look at the changes in this section over here, where I can see what are the various adjustments that have been done in the past. That also is available to the planner. Uh, let's move to the second part now, which is quite interesting, because this is month to date sales, or we can say it as week to date sale if our process is weekly. So what usually happens in the month to date sale, and why we are even considering month to date sale as a demand sensing? This is widely used option across the industry, because we are tracking our daily sale in a month bucket, and we are importing that data in our plan and trying to determine whether our the expected sale is whether it's higher or is it going to be lower based on how we have performed till now. So it can act as an adjustment, or it can act as a comparison line for us to work upon. And finally, the planner can decide whether to update the forecast, or let the systems like Vanguard do that automatically once the MTD sales are in the system. So let me show you another example which we have. So we have this a particular option, which is SKU 100 in the APAC region. And again, this is my historical time series data. My forecast is also there. And along with the forecast, I have brought in my MTD sales. So in this case, I'm right now on 26th of June, and my date, which the data is updated till 25th of June. So I see that 4,500 units are already consumed this of the current month, and my projection is 4,722. So if we just roughly equally distribute our forecast, we would lie up uh, at the our actually month to date projections should have been around 3,935 for the past 25 days. However, we have already consumed 4,500. So now this information can be used as an alert mechanism for the planner. They can use this alert that there is a there is a uh, significant uh, increase or decrease in the demand basis the information that we get, and use that for our projection. So if we use, I'm just giving you a random example over here. So if we have, say, if we have done 4,500 in 25 days, we get to know that we will do 5,400 in the month of June, rather than 3,000, rather than 4,722. So there's a difference of about sorry, yeah. So there's a difference of about 900 units that we see over here. If I say 5,900, uh, sorry, 5,400, so I can use that information for my overriding, or system can automatically use this information and generate use this information of 4,500 as month to date sale, and its further projection for my whole month, and automatically update my forecast. Either we, either as a planner, I make this change in the system, or I built in certain rule basis which my system gets automatically updated with the latest information. Because ultimately the use of demand sensing is to incorporate in our forecast, incorporate that in my plan, which finally impacts my supply plan as well. So hope this information was relevant to you, because it's very critical how we can use a month to date sale for my corrections. The third option that I have is of a regression. Regressions are widely used, and these are really important to determine the impact of an external data. It could what we call it as a causal factor, which impacts our demand. Especially in e-commerce segment, where we see the forecast is sorry, say for example, there could be social media mentions. It could be that a person, an actor has posted or mentioned on social media that he liked a particular brand, or he liked a particular clothes, or he might have just put in or he or she maybe. So they might have posted a photo of a particular brand of them in the in a particular quote, and we believe that that might impact our forecast, because the actor has a lot of follower, so that would definitely result in my increase in demand. It could also be a case, especially like especially the way we are seeing it with J&J and the Fair and Lovely, the HUL, the company, where we are seeing that there is a negative sentiment for the fairness creams in the market. So this sentiment can be used as one of the major factor which would drive our forecast. So we can use all these factors for sensing the demand. The negative sentiments would lead to a decline in sale, or a positive sentiment could lead to an increase in sale, or the social media mentions depends on customer to customer, product to product, company to company. So it depends how it would impact. So we can use this relationship to determine our forecast, which is really important to do so. The other factors could be, say, especially in e-commerce segment, where certain products are put on the home page, or they were part of digital campaign, or mailers were sent to the users so they could so they could go and buy and shop these products. So these are all the factors which would impact our demand, and we can incorporate, we can leverage this information to sense the demand and adjust them as well. So let's see an example over here. I'll uh, take a daily forecast example over here. So this is a this is a product which for which we are generating a daily forecast, and we are also trying to keep track of social media mentions. So let us see. When I go to social media mentions, we see there, in different time periods, there was a certain time where the mentions were high, and this is how the projections look like to be in the future. This could be a digital campaign altogether. How many customers have we reached out to? Uh, what is the range within which we are going to reach out to our customers? It depends on different factors. So when we take this information and we incorporate it in our data, I'm just going to return. Yeah. So over here, apart from say starting value, the system tells me that social media mention regression is going to give me an increase in sale for the month of in the first day, in the second day, it would be adjusting in this fashion, that fashion. So it's automatically determining whether there is an positive relationship or a negative relationship, and how my forecast is going to get impacted. So we can definitely make use of such information in our data uh, as a guidance factor and also an adjustment factor for the planning process. This I would really like to make a note here that these are not comprehensive examples that I can give you in the limited time. It's these are just a pointer which can possibly help you in determining the factors for your business, by yourself, and you can make use of them for further adjustment to your planning process. Now comes a very, very interesting factor, which is my external data. We have, in fact, worked with a company in the past. I will not like to take the name here, where we had used the POS sales data, or basically, in fact, in a different instance, we used a sellout forecast, and that sellout forecast was a guiding factor for my selling forecast. So that's really important, how we can make use of my POS data or my sellout data to determine what would be my forecast. So in this case, as in when the retailer sales would go up, if we are using POS data, and if we have access to the POS data, then we can determine if the retailer sales are say going up now, and that can act as a guiding factor for me to determine how my forecast would go up or down, depending upon definitely the channel inventory that we are carrying, or the replenishment policies that we have internally. Sorry. Yeah. So let us see the external data example as well. So I'll go back to our previous example. I'll go back to the demand plan. I'll take up the example that I have over here, which is this. In this case, and there could be multiple ways in which we can handle the POS data, or the sell-out, sell-in forecast. So the first one is I have brought in the POS sales, my point of sales data. And I have the point of, so when I go to the point of sales data, I have the my sales data for the month of June, which is 1,596. And we believe that, uh, you know, how my, my POS data is going to change in the same fashion. So there's just a lag to my forecast. So then what we can do, we can just use that as a guiding factor. My June forecast, sorry, my June number for from my POS data becomes my forecast for the month of July, because there is a 30-day of lag that we are seeing, because our replenishment take that much time. Our replenishment strategies are in such a way. We have lots of different strategies over here, which we can select, and depending on company to company, we can select, say, economic order quantity, or maybe a covered 30-day kind of policy, or maybe a replenishment norm of weekly. Then my weekly projections can become a guiding factor, or my weekly POS sale become a guiding factor for my current sale. So that's one of the method by which we can say adjust our data. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the second option is that we do not use POS data like this. However, we use sell out and sell in forecast. Let me just remove the overrides over here for the time being. Yeah. So say we have the forecast. So assume that this is my sellout data. So this is my sellout forecast, and this is how we are predicting for the future as well. This number is my sellout forecast, and we have a channel norm, or basis our lead times our stock needs to get replenished. So we have a lead time of about 14 days over here. So we have our products are getting replenished every 14 days. So what the system will do, system is going to break down uh, this forecast on daily basis, and basis that system will determine when do I have to order next. So these projections that we see over here would become my guidance to my sell-in forecast. So this becomes my sell-in forecast. So my sell-out is deriving my sell-in. So that's another important information, how we can use a sell-out to generate sell-in forecast automatically. And this is again a heavily it's heavily dependent on my sell-in forecast. If we make any changes to our sell-in data, my sell-out data would get adjusted. Say for example, I increase my forecast to 6,000 in this case. Say for example, we are expecting 6,000 increase in demand, and we are projecting that we would order on 23rd of July. So let's see if I incorporate this change, how it would change my information. So now the system is telling me that order immediately, since the refresh date was on 16. So it says that we will have to order quickly immediately, else we would go out of stock, because the probability of stocking out increase or decrease. I don't want to get into the detail. However, my agenda was to show you how sell-in forecast can be derived from sell-out, or how we can use POS data or as an external data as a guiding factor for my forecast. But similarly, we can use offtake data, depends on the availability. All right. The last option that I will be talking today is the human collaboration. This is a very, very important option, which we really cannot, talk less about. It's really important. That's how businesses run, basis how strong our collaboration is in the company. It determines how my processes are, how my further planning process is. So this is a very critical piece of information which we should make use of. In this case, we can say incorporate quickly, um, you know, uh, the information which say our customers are giving it to us, or say our different team members are giving it to us. So that becomes a notification, or maybe a collaboration altogether, in terms of override or in terms of notification in the system, that what are the current or upcoming changes that are going to impact our focus. I would really like to give you an example over here. The one example that I remember offhand, apart from definitely the COVID information which we got initially from China, say the information that was, I got to know about it when I was working with one of the company, a retailer, a fashion retailer, in fact. So one of these stores was closed because of certain safety norm issue in the mall. So there was some safety issue in the mall because of which the entire mall was closed. All the shops were closed, which ultimately led to uh, store closure. So that impacted the company. So in such cases, the sales team, which are on the field, they can be a guiding input to the users. So for example, over here they can notify the planner that particular location would be closed. Say if they have the information for how long, then they can notify about that as well. So in this case, a person has notified that due to safety issue, there would be certain rectification that would happen, because of which our location would be closed for 2 months. So we can now quickly incorporate it, or the particular user who had made the change can incorporate it themselves. We can say make the focus zero for the entire location or a particular set of items. It depends on the kind of information that we would be getting, and adjust our forecast. So this is a collaboration hub where we can use hashtag, or we can assign it to particular user. Maybe James Christian is the particular salesperson whom I want to notify. Please update on the opening, if possible. So we can make use of these information, and everything gets recorded. So I can not only look at my latest changes, but I can also look at all the previous changes that had happened. The system is also notifying me of anyone, any other person who has sent any notification or sent any messages to me. So I can look at that channel and that option and see how what exactly is the request. In this case, there is a request to transfer certain product from a ground location, but I can also look at all the various changes that we have made in the past, to make use of that information for correcting the forecast. I'll not be emphasizing less on this piece, because this is one of the critical piece for demand sensing. Our sales team is out in the field. Our customers, if we are in touch with them, our distributors or any of the other customers that we have, they are in the field. They have the information from the market. Let them give that information to us, and we can then take a call whether how we would want to mitigate that risk or correct and react on that information. So that's really, really, really important as the planners, that we have this information and incorporate it for the demand sensing. So these were the different factors. So we discussed firm order management, we discussed MTD sales, we discussed regression adjustments, the external data like POS, we discussed the human collaboration. So I just wanted to give you a very high level overview of what are the possible factors for demand sensing, which we can make use of in our business setup as well. Uh, I would like to now take a pause and see if we have any questions. If you have any questions, we can discuss them now, and would be happy to help. Uh, Over here, I would like to also take this time and notify that we have upcoming sessions for Forecast Pro as well coming up next month, which is really amazing. So we would be discussing a lot of features of Forecast Pro and how we can possibly make use of the system during this disruptive situation to improve our process. So we would be coming up with those sessions as well. I hope you guys liked today's session. I believe that you might be taking certain pointers. Feel free to ask us any question. You can write to hello@anamai.com, or you can directly write to me at sheetal@anamai.com. I would be happy to answer your queries over email as well. So we are on time. We have completed our session today. Thank you guys for taking the time and joining us for this discussion today. Stay safe. have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annie. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.